morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Wednesday morning. Yeah, see, it felt like it was later for some reason, probably because of the third morning show. But I am back to being the greatest dad, which the writing is totally freaking gone now. So you guys are going to have to take my word for it. These Wednesday shows have really gotten the writing up. But John is with us as always. What's happening?
I'm good. Been ill the last few days for something that felt like, but apparently wasn't COVID. um, but I'm better now.
Is COVID still a thing?
Apparently it is.
I haven't heard anybody like around me getting
right.
or anything like that.
Well, what I was sick for the last few days wasn't COVID apparently because I tested negative, but it certainly felt like it. It certainly felt like it.
So
and you know what's fun?
Basically, COVID became like a
regular
or flu at this point, right?
Essentially, right? Like, your joints are hurting, your head is feeling like it's on Mars. Thankfully the Friday game did not help, right? Like, because I was like, I'd say the height of what I was feeling was around Friday and Saturday. The Friday game did not help. Like, going up
Really?
2-0 up, I was feeling a little better. Get it going at 2-2, like that felt awful. With Chiesa, then Chiesa does his thing, Salah does his thing. It's just, I guess football is back. Made me feel a little bit better, but at the same time, like, yeah. But yeah, glad to be back and everything like
Really,
that.
usually it's weird because like if I'm like kind of sick, the adrenaline of the game
I
kind of
didn't feel,
helps, and then you crash down afterwards.
I crashed when when Semenyo equalized.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
I crashed too, but I wasn't even sick. I mean, like during
right.
the game, you get so much adrenaline.
Yeah.
At least I do, pacing around and stuff like that. That like, but once the game is over, the sickness comes back, and you're like, damn.
You know what's funny? I immediately knew I was gonna get sick. I just didn't know it was gonna be this bad because I feel like I could pinpoint the exact moment I got like the flu bug on the way home from the train. There was this dude who was just coughing, and it's the cough that you could smell. You know what I mean? Like, it's the cough that's so bad, like you could smell the vapor in the air, and I felt like that was it right there. I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to like fucking drink some orange juice when I get home and stuff like that. It wasn't enough, obviously. So listen, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into. There's a lot this morning.
There's a lot
to cover with the whole Isak ordeal and stuff like that. But if you're watching us live right now, hit that thumbs up. Don't forget, so we can bring some other newcomers. We had a bunch actually over the last 2 days in the morning due to those thumbs up. So hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and let's get to it. Would you rather do the Isak stuff first? Would you rather do the team of the year stuff?
Let's do the team of the year. Yeah, Isak stuff can wait till like the show's like going downhill. We've already made some momentum, so we could get.
Well, actually, we'll come to it because he is obviously in there. So we'll basically come to that when we come to him, kind of an ordeal. Okay, so let's look at the team real quick. I mean, any arguments?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just another shout out for my boy. You'll know who I'm talking about, Ryan Gravenberch. No one pegged him to be.
Here we go.
No one pegged him to be in the Liverpool starting 11 last year, let alone the team of the year. And I guess to further that point about Gravenberch, I guess Slot himself said in reference to the Bournemouth game as to how important he was. We missed him that game. And a deserved team of the year selection for him and for the other Liverpool boys, Maka, Salah, and Virgil. It really surprises me, man, though. Like, I see some McAllister slander on social media, which I cannot comprehend. Like, if I was a machine, I cannot compute how the hell can you slander McAllister? Him being like,
oh, like he doesn't belong there, kind of a thing.
No, yeah, well, not just in the team of the year, but some of this slander goes to him being in the Liverpool side, if you can believe that. And these are from Liverpool fans. Like, you'd expect it from maybe some
I've
jealous.
given up on some fans understanding.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean, but like coming off of a league title winning season, right, where he was like probably hands down our best midfielder. I can't comprehend that, man. I cannot.
No, because I think he does a lot of things that might not just pop out at you, but you can kind of tell when he's not there. He kind of controls the pace. I think people only see like some of his like he does turn the ball over at times in some like dangerous spots. So I think
does
like
Szoboszlai,
put that into memory, and then they just like don't see any of the other stuff that he does. I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Cersei's the stuff following Saidu.
No. It's
there are
not
sort of
that.
fans that are like, first of all, there are a lot of fans who do not understand what the people in the middle even do. So I've kind of like stopped taking the criticism and understanding of what if the midfielder is not getting assists and goals all the time, they don't care about the midfielder. It's your generation, John. I blame your generation. It's the ultimate team generation.
Hey, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who appreciate Mecca, but if you go to the because there are two tabs on X, right? There's the following, and then there's the other one, I believe.
Yes, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm not a Twitter person, but I know what you mean.
Right, like the following, the For You tab. There we go. I opened it here. Yeah, that's where a lot of the stuff that I
they're trying to lure you. They're like, this is for you.
Yeah. Like, because listen, I like seeing opposing viewpoints just to see like what if it challenges mine, but some of it just goes overboard. You know what I mean? Like with McAllister, and I was
Twitter, anybody can like throw up their thoughts. Which is really
like
ends
listen,
up being...
it's their right, but then at the same time, that don't mean I don't mean I agree. That don't mean
I mean that's the thing though. Like sometimes, like when I read some of these comments, you gotta kind of understand where it's coming from, and if they're making a point. Like I see the same thing, and this is not only a Liverpool thing. This is not only like an English thing. This is not only like a Premier League thing. I see the same thing, and like there is like certain things. Even if on our reels and stuff, there are some comments on there that you can kind of tell there's no like thought process. There's no brain behind the comments, kind of a deal. And those people you can never fight. And you just kind of like let it go. Like those I don't even respond to, or sometimes I respond to on our social media just to mess with them, saying like, oh, that's a very intelligent take, kind of a deal, because they don't make a point, or they'll just say so and so is shit or something like that. It's like, if you can't articulate what the hell, or if you don't have a point to make, your entire point is somebody's shit or somebody's the best. It's just like, you do have to. Honestly, unfortunately, we can't, because all of our stuff, like all my stuff, mostly ends up being Liverpool during the season. And if you just like go out, honestly, like that's the thing. If somebody is like too brainless, I probably like unfollow them. At least I don't see their posts. I might not unfriend them, but I might unfollow them on like Facebook or something like that. But overall, it's just like when somebody's being non-Liverpool stuff, if somebody is constantly saying stuff that I'm like, dude, I don't have time for your stupidity or ignorance and stuff, I just walk away, because I've stopped fighting those. Join me and save yourself some time for your own life, because some of these people just can't be like
don't get me wrong. I don't try and argue. I just see it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I don't waste my time with the internet, man, because I know like 99% of these people, what they say, they won't say it in front of your face. Which is why I always go like with my takes, I always try and say it here on the show.
I don't even think they'll say it like not in your face in terms of like you're gonna kick their ass, but in terms of like they're not gonna say it because
you'll associate the take to a face. You know what I mean? Like they risk their their identity. That's what I mean. Like that's why
somebody's going to challenge them right there, right then. Whereas they can just shit on the floor and walk away.
Exactly.
And
that's why.
And which is what they're doing. But here's my question.
Sure.
So I don't know how the voting goes on this thing. Okay. But who is the right back?
Who is the right back?
Or was there no right back worthy of being in Team of the Year?
Probably.
That they have 3 center backs and a left back. I'm assuming they did one of them as, he can also be right back, plays right side on a 3 formation or something like that. But there's no right back here.
Yeah. There's no
so I have no idea. And I'm assuming they don't just vote midfielder, attacker, or midfield, like, you know what I mean? Defender, midfielder, because then I don't think Kirkes would have made it there. Like normally it would be like another center back. If I told you to give me your best defender in the league or something like that, it's very rarely going to be a left back or a right back or something like that. So Matthias Gravenberg is the right back. Yeah, I'm
I
like
mean,
that's confusing to me. That I don't even know what the formation is, and I realize they're not like making a formation, which I
yeah, I think
understand. But you would think, in terms of positions, right back is a normal one. Like they might not vote like a number 10 or something like that, or a right winger or something. But you would think there would be like a right back. They went with three center backs. Matheus is a back five now. I mean, it
right.
could very well be. So I don't
Gravenberg
know
is the
how they determine this. But Gravenberg, Declan, and McAllister's midfield. Mo, Chris Woods, and Isak is up top.
yeah.
So no arguments. You're not like making a case for anybody to get in here.
No, I
Very
like the select.
non-controversial.
Yeah, I'm not being controversial. I feel like these deserve. I mean, in terms of like the right back that you mentioned, uh, I don't think anyone like really particularly stood out. I mean, typically that's been Trent or Kyle Walker over the last few seasons, primarily because they were, with Trent because of his numbers, Kyle Walker being the starting right back for the four-time champions
Yeah.
at the time, but none of particularly stood out. Obviously, Walker was sold midway through last season. Trent was Trent. Like he didn't care half the time. So I feel like it's justified. Midfield, I made the point on McAllister because I'm glad that he's getting the appreciation that he should. Arguably, I would say the best center midfield in the league, but then I'm biased. Hopefully, a certain like minority sect of our fans can appreciate how good he is. Especially since like I think if I'm not mistaken, we conceded the 2 goals when he was substituted, right? McAllister against
I think
Bournemouth.
so, because
Yeah,
he didn't have 90. Yeah,
he
that
didn't have
one's
90
hard
in
to
him.
pick because basically he came out.
Yeah,
Kirkes came out, and Ikitike came out, which was
yeah,
like kind of like a bad deal in terms of possession, because I feel like both games, the moment he came out, we couldn't hold the ball, we couldn't distribute the ball and stuff like that. So yeah, come on the bus says Mac and Grab are the best two midfield. I think so. Like I say, Mac is a bit more. See, like when you compare those two, for example,
Mac and Gravenberg.
Gravenberg has more moments where someone can say, "Oh wow, what a turn," or like he does something like with his like lanky run and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of stuff that McAllister does sometimes might seem very simple to the eye, but it's basically a lot of like work in terms of like winning the ball, controlling the pace. He knows when to push up, he knows when to go back. I think if those two are on the pitch, for example, we're definitely not giving up a 2-0 lead, because we're never caught that wide open on a counter or anything like that, because they can kind of figure out when to push up, when to not, or they have a good understanding where one of them pushes up, the other one kind of covers on a counter, like to avoid a counter and stuff. And they will be there to probably at least take a foul and a yellow card to stop something from happening. So yeah, no arguments there. Honestly, I'm looking at like right backs from last season, and now I understand why there is no right backs over here. But the funny thing is, right back as an Arsenal player shows up as Timber. So none of these boys who played center back are not there. So we're playing a back three somehow, but I don't know who's on the right hand side of this. But Chris Wood, obviously, with the goals, and Isak for kind of like single-handedly carrying them. I mean, you could definitely tell when Isak was not there. Can't blame it there. But what does Isak say after he gets it? He says he doesn't go to the ceremony. And he claimed, I don't know if did you see the statement that he threw out there?
I saw it vaguely. Yes.
Okay, so he basically says, I mean, the gist of it is this paragraph, I think, right here. Kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. So, Matthias is putting Holland. I think the only reason, Holland over Wood. I think the reason that doesn't happen, and maybe it's unfair against Holland or whatever, but their team, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
because you feel like if you take Wood out of Forest, they would not have the points that they have. Whereas you take Holland, it feels like City has enough to keep going and get the goals.
Exactly. I would say so. And I think and the numbers that Haaland put up, like he's defeated by his own standards, I would say as well. Like that's a good point. Yeah. It's an excellent season for anyone, but then looking where City finished last year, and even though Haaland put up good numbers, it borders on, a cynical man would say, empty stats, because it never really led them to anything in the league. Like, it was a very poor season for them. So there's that, and the fact that Forest overachieved considerably. Like, I know they were like second for a time,
Yeah.
but them still making a European spot is over the moon for them. And third for me is Haaland plays for a team that routinely creates chances, I would say, whereas Forest like to sit back in their shell and sort of pick their moments to an extent, where
Yes.
Wood's numbers are more reflective, I guess, of a more clinical, like numbers wise, right? If we're talking about who's a better finisher, Haaland, of course, like no doubt. But if you're talking about the styles of play of the teams that they play for respectively, I would say, at least for that season, I'd say Woods is slightly a bit more impressive, right? Like,
Yeah, that's a solid case, I think. You know, so that'll teach me to kind of pick somebody.
Hey, I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
I'm
I'm not.
no. I
Not,
think so.
not
See,
bagging
Forest season was
Matsushita,
even
yeah.
more empty. It's like Kevin Love on. Here we go, the basketball. So he's gonna be happy.
But then, like, if you don't predict the Wolves to make the playoffs, and they do, right? Like, no one predicted the Forest to make the European spots.
No,
let
I mean
alone
there were predictions in our prediction zone for them to get relegated. For God's
right,
sake.
exactly. I mean,
I think
like,
in terms of like the percentage of offense, probably, and the fact that, like I say, you're kind of, it brings us back to like an MVP kind of conversation, right? Like, he's probably the one that, you know, if you take him out of Forest, I think they drop a lot. Whereas if you take Haaland out, you feel like there's so much other quality that they would still keep going and get the goals.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, you're like second point or something like that. So
yeah.
No, I definitely buy your case on that one. And obviously, Mo was player of the year. Forgot to mention that. I don't put a lot of stock in like the awards personally, so I kind of like brush over them for the most part. But
I think we should for Mo in this case, man. I think
do what?
What is it? I think we should put a bit more case in. What is it? His third now, and I think that's the most for an individual player.
Oh, I'm not like saying like no. I meant like I don't look at. Same reason I don't watch literally any award show. I can proudly tell you over here, the last award show I actually watched was the one that was it Van Dijk going up for Ballon d'Or?
Right. Yeah.
Right. I think that was the very last award show that I watched. Like, I don't watch Oscars, Grammys, and all that kind of stuff. I don't put a lot of like, you know, giving somebody one thing like decided by, you know, whatever. And for whatever reason, I just don't put that much stock in it. I mean, it's a huge thing for Mo. I think it's very clear cuts. The PFA, the players themselves vote, but I think even then, let's face it, how many times have we had team votes, class votes, growing up and stuff, and it's more of a popularity contest than merits it ends up becoming.
Granted, though,
I'm not in this case. I'm just saying in general.
Right. But then in to like strengthen Matusha's point, I guess there's more weight to a left back or a right back who's faced Mo consistently rather than some journalist sitting at home. You know what, what I mean? You know what I mean? So like him to be recognized this way, and I think he's the one who set the record. Like, my God, and we have to. If Mo wins another title, like I hate to go this route, but we're gonna there should be some talks about Premier League greatest of all time over there. I feel like if he seals the deal with another title, I feel like those conversations are pretty valid, because let's face it, what hasn't he done individually?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if we're talking about a non-Liverpool player, right? I feel like these conversations, he's done, I would go out of the limb and say he's done more than Henry at this point in the Premier League.
I have to go into the stats to compare. I think the number of titles obviously is probably a deciding factor, which it shouldn't be, but it normally is.
I think Henry had 2. Salah now has 2, and Salah has a Champions League. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like his case for player to player when Henry played at Arsenal. Obviously, Henry went to Barcelona, so that's a whole other thing. But talking about Premier League, like, geez, man, I don't know.
You're basically talking about not like a player grades, but Premier League grades.
Premier League great, yeah. So I guess with that argument of mine, I removed the Champions League then. So which is why I'm saying like maybe one more title, and Salah could seriously be considered outside the Liverpool fan base, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because obviously the the tribalism is going to come in here. Like, oh, why are we talking about Salah? He's only won 2 titles. You know what I mean? Like, if you add a third, and then you put into context his seasons with us, where even the seasons where we narrowly missed on a title by 1 point, that's still impressive because he still played for some pretty damn good sides and put in some pretty damn good numbers on those seasons as well.
So is this Mo's third, you guys said?
It's his third. He had one in 2018, 2022, and this year. And for the one in 2022,
I just like stumbled upon this article, and I think it's from 2025, and it only shows Mo at 1.
Excuse me, 2018 is when he came in.
2017 and 18, right, is 1.
Yeah, came in. 2021, 2022, because he won the Golden Boot and he led the league in assists then as well, even though we lost
I don't understand what this is showing because it's way off. But I'll give you some number comparisons. Goals, 175. Oh, well, this is as of January, so obviously he's ahead of Henry now in goals.
Absolutely,
he was already ahead in assists, which was 82 to 74. Granted, he already had in January like 25 more games than Henry. Win percentage is higher.
Win percentage
less
is higher.
Hat tricks, which I think having less hat tricks when you have a lot of goals is a plus to me, because that tells me you contribute more regularly as opposed to getting 3 goals and then nothing for a couple of weeks, 3 goals for nothing a couple of weeks. I'd rather have a player throw in 1 or 2 like brace or whatever here and there, as opposed to, score in bunches, but that would like disappear for other games and stuff. And I think like finishing percentage on this one shows like goals per minute, I should say, is Mo is at 131, Henry is at like 122. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good argument actually. But the problem now becomes is as Mo keeps going, the number of games goes up. So you're gonna have to find different ways of like assists per game, goals per game.
Which is why I feel like his longevity needs to warrant more titles, if that makes sense. Because the longevity argument can go against him. Yes, or you could say that he's been around too long. Like, for me personally, like, I'm gonna go basketball here. It's what goes against LeBron against Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, it could go against him here, where like he's been around longer. Like, in theory, he should be winning more. So I think a third or even a fourth one, if that's possible, would seal the deal for me. Like,
if you have like 3, like if you have like 4 titles, I think that automatically seals the deal. And
exactly.
But it goes back to, I think he will go down. I don't know why he doesn't now. He really should. But like when people talk about the greats, and I think sometimes like putting somebody in your current era is difficult too. Like when we say greats, we kind of look up and like look back, like you think back, because it's like greats. I think it'll be interesting to see. Well, you can tell us. I don't know if I'll be around, but in like 10-15 years over here, how
that is listen, I know you're supposed to be the Yang, but that is such a negative outlook, man. What do you mean 10-15 years? Of course you're gonna be fucking around. Jesus, we're gonna be hosting live shows in different bars around the United States. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if I'll be able to pull up 20. You guys might have to wheel me in and out.
Like you're gonna have like you, Gally, and Bickler will be passing down the 24-hour mantle to a new generation. Maybe that includes me and 2 other unlucky or lucky gentlemen, depending on how.
Yeah, because I don't know how long we can definitely keep going at it. Even though we did a lot better this year.
Right, and I was about to say, were there any hitches health-wise afterwards compared to the previous year? You guys seemed fine.
Soreness, but that's kind of to be expected. We should have been smarter and grabbed the better stools early on in the evening so we can sit and like lean and stuff a little bit. No sciatica, no sickness or anything like that for any of us. We were just like, I'd like tired and sore. That's about it.
Not to toot my own horn, but I'd like to believe that I was the difference there. Like those hours, that 1 hour that I bought each of you gentlemen.
Yes, I think it helps because you could like walk away and eat. First of all, it helps the audience, so you're not eating in front of them, and so they can't eat for like a month. So that helps in that case. And I think like any guest that we had, it almost like like any live guest, like Mark, who was on the morning show yesterday, was there. Adriana, who was joining, is actually going to be there tomorrow. Like L'Oreal, Gordon, like all these people hopping on. Towards the end of the night, especially as we get tired, like we had a lot of contributors, like Brian Shelton and stuff like that. Like people hopping on constantly. So that really helped the cause, because it does take away from somebody else talking. Sometimes like helps the cause and stuff. But yeah, going back to the thing. Yeah.
Hey, listen.
Very well done.
I was
like
expecting
Monday saying, I don't want to shit on Nunez, but let me shit on Nunez real quick.
The thing is, I was expecting Timucin to shut me down, but he was like, "Yeah,
no,
what?
No, because it does help. It did help. We actually talked about on the Monday night podcast that it did definitely help, because, like I say, being able to go walk away for like 20 minutes and eat and actually sit down and then like come back on,
it would have been
kept us more. I think the overall, and then the standing definitely helps. Being next to each other helps. The environment of the pub definitely helps. It was a lot easier than like sitting in the room by yourself, like, overnight kind of a thing. That kind of automatically gets you like a bit more sleepier and more tired and stuff like that. Even though it was a lot easier to direct traffic for me, like bringing guests and all that kind of stuff, than it was live. But I'll get better at that, and we'll improve on that next.
It was good as well that it would have been inappropriate for everyone to see like the speed in which I devoured that burger I ate back back when I was helping you guys out. Hey, covering his hungry work, man. Like,
dude, I know. I saw the burger. Next time I looked, it was gone, and it was like a cartoon where you were just wiping off, and I was like, God damn,
I'm a hungry boy, man. Like, I'm a hungry boy. Like,
you start down some beers over there too, to be fair. So like we were just like, I thought the same about the beers. I'm like, I see the glass, now it's gone, kind of thing. But no, yeah, had a good old time over there. I think actually we have I have a self-shooting horse. But yeah, so let's get back to the Mo thing.
Yeah, before we get distracted. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it's very well deserved. I don't know. I have not looked online. Did you, when you looked at that, other section on Twitter, did you see people saying so and so should have won? That's find it hard for somebody to pick somebody else.
That's funny because even the most tribal of rival fans that I borderline follow, like Sir Z was talking about.
You slipped now. You said you weren't following these people.
No. I was about to clarify because Sir Z mentioned algorithm, right? And from my experience, the X/Twitter, like X, what kind of lame ass name was that? Anyway, but the Twitter algorithm works that if you view a guy's profile, they appear on your For You feed more often. So sometimes so I go like to sometimes to Goldbridge's feed or some Arsenal fans' feed just to see where they're at, like after a result that didn't go their way or after a result that went our way, just to see where they're at with us last year. So these Arsenal creators that come out in my For You page, not one that I see really questioned Mo, because that's how good his season was.
Yeah,
and the thing is, who can you even put in there? Like Isak, I guess, but then like Mo led the league in goals and assists.
Yeah,
he won the damn league. He won the whole damn thing. You know what?
That's what I wondered. What somebody who's trying to just be like controversial is coming up with. But
what really caught my sorry Tim to cut you off, but what really caught my eye was the fact that they're actually putting him into all-timer categories, rival fans, which for me is deserved. Like Liverpool, we're talking about tooting horns. It's mostly Liverpool fans that bang the Mo Salah all-timer drum, but seeing rival fans do it for me is just like good. It's a sign of respect. It's kind of like oh shit, like it was like Kobe back in the day. He killed your team, but then you knew how great he was, so you're just like, you know what, I get it. And I feel like that's what rival fans are coming to terms with Mo right now. Where if he just scores on your team, you're like, fucking hell, we wrote that goal off anyway. You know what I mean? And that's how good he was.
This is what Mo actually said, and I think that was that is one of Mo's biggest motivations. He admittedly said that he did not want to, especially if he wins one more title. But even now, you can kind of tell Mo's greatness. Look, anybody who's trying to poo-poo Mo, right, could have easily said 2-3 years ago, like, it's not Mo, it would have been that trio that everybody would talk about.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So Aziz Mane, Mo, and Bobby in the middle. So it was that trio, and everybody was like, oh, so nobody would really go back and say as much, oh, Mo was so great. Or whenever somebody said Mo was so great, they would say, oh, it would automatically go to the trio.
Yes.
it was like, oh, that front three was amazing and stuff like that. It would like the conversation would be Mo, and then you just like go to the next one. I feel like, and he's that kind of like admittedly said this, like I mean, he did admit it after winning in like a bunch of interviews that he wanted to win this without being part of that front three, so that it does mean more to him. And I think, you know, now he has played with a bunch of separate front threes for one.
He's going to play with a new one. He's going to play with a new one.
The constant new ones, and he's made players better around them. So I feel like, especially if he wins one more, 10, 15 years from now, the Mo conversation has changed drastically. It will not automatically bounce to the front three conversation, oh, that great three. It will stay at Mo. People will talk more about what he did, his assists and stuff like that, how he kind of like evolved this game, as opposed to maybe like 3 years ago, we would start with Mo and then jump into how those three were great together.
Right. To add to that, man, like how insane is it, that you're leading the league in assists with Darwin Núñez leading the front line.
See, but okay, it was Darwin was only cutting strays from me. Now
I know, but you get what I mean. If we're talking about last year's front line, none of them, like, as good as they are, you know, Diaz had his best season for us, Gakpo had his best season for us, I would say. Jota was a bit hit or miss, but you get what I mean. None of them were at the caliber of a Mane or a Firmino, and Salah still led the league in assists, which says a lot, I would say. Like, sure, these guys can't convert all the time, but the sheer number of chances he gives you because of the attention that's drawn to him is just insanity, I would say. He's that good. Right.
It shows that Grandma Lee would thrive up there with the supply.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that right flank, like, it's actually going to be interesting to see this year, because there's a lot that flowed through him last year that isn't going to flow through him as much, because
I don't know. I think this gives us so much. I think this is why it's a tougher team to defend. I know Gears did not have the best game, but you have multiple. I think in the past you could kind of force that ball to our left side, right? And then take it away from Trent and Mo, and, you know, like the creators, if you will, were on the same side. I think there's like more weapons now. You have to kind of watch Wirtz, and then you might have, you know, what we see from Ekitike so far. We'll talk about Isak a little bit here in a moment, if he's there too. There are other people to watch, so you can't just focus there. I would argue that it might actually help him, because now people are already trying to avoid, like, you know, stop Wirtz from getting the ball. That's one other person that's already getting attention. So it's not as easy to double, you know, like Mo, or like really overcrowd that side and stuff, like, you know, shift your entire overload there and take your chances with the left-hand side. I mean, I think Gakpo's performance last year, a lot of it is because of that. Same thing with Diaz. So it's important that the left side constantly creates for you and gets those goals. But I think having a lot more options in the middle that will scare you will help Mo out wide. And you have a different kind of player now. I know we haven't seen enough of this. This is kind of like new, but, you know, you have a very dangerous overlap in terms of speed with Frimpong. Before, with Trent, it was just like the fear of that ball that's going to come in. You didn't want him to put his head up and like cross the ball in. Brutal performance for Madrid yesterday. So happy to see that, I have to say. Because I'm a hater, and
he was hooked, right? He was hooked, right? Like, I think he was subbed.
Oh, was he?
I believe he was hooked.
I just saw the stats that like Gali posted this morning on Discord, and it looked pretty abysmal. So hopefully there's more where that came from. But I think like with Frimpong, you have so much speed that can overlap too, that kind of enables Mo to cut inside and do all the kinds of things. So I actually think this new setup might benefit him a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, look at you looking at the glass half full perspective, right? And here I was, I'm worrying about we flipped the script here, folks.
Yeah,
like,
what the hell?
I'm a little worried about the betting in period, because like the idea of it, like you mentioned, is great. Like like that's how you would think it would play out, but it's clear, especially like obviously during the first game, there are still a lot of hitches that needs to be like addressed with the front. There's a lot of like, oh, you think he's gonna go there, but then his pass went here, and especially with Wirtz. So and obviously, you take that with a grain of salt, because it's their first real competitive game together. And let me just like go on the record. I think Wirtz had a good game, especially off the ball. I thought he was good in terms of pressing. The discipline was there. It's just on the ball, which is like what we look at him for, what we look at him mostly, and what we expect him to do didn't work out. So which is why I understand why people would say, yeah, he had a bad game. But off the ball, I thought he was all right.
What would you give him out of 10?
6.5.
That's not a good game.
I mean, it's above average. Like people
passing.
The people give him like 4s, man. I think 6.
No,
well, 6
I think that's low. I think he works hard.
I guess my point is, man, sorry,
that position.
Right. I guess my point is, before you go into your point, it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 is pretty abysmal. I don't. Poor basically says poor. I don't think he was poor, but your grade is pretty fair, probably. But the way you were talking about him, I thought you were going to give him like 7.5.
No, because at the same time, man, I'm also with those people where I also look at him more when he has the ball, because that's his thing. So you know what I mean. So the grade is tilted towards those attributes of passing, creating chances, stuff like that.
True.
And, yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
I think so. I mean, I know what you mean. Yeah, because you are basically, because you kind of like are looking at it with those expectations. You wanted to see what he was going to do with the ball, not off the ball. But I am happy to see that, even because a lot of 10s in the past, for all the old guys out there who remembers, the 10s were really not, kind of like non-existent off the ball. And they were like, when you guys get the ball, give it to me and watch me create, kind of a thing. Most 10s were like that growing up. These, like, I'm talking probably like 20 years ago, right? So for a guy who plays a similar position, I really like the work rate he puts off the ball and winning. He's no Soboslai in terms of like chasing people down and stuff. But what I really like is his anticipation of where the ball is going to go, where the player is going to turn, and like pressing correctly, kind of a deal. So he's a ball winner. You can tell there's going to be a lot of moments. And we used to say this about Keita whenever he was healthy and he was out there. You know, certain players, like, they're ball winners and they know where it's going to go, and they can kind of like win it and like put it back into play right away. John Barnes, I don't get the correlation. Do you mean in terms of like making other people look better? Because I don't consider, like, I don't look back and like see John. I see John is a winger more than a 10. So you threw me over there. Ryan says Ikitika looks really good.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna go to Ikitika?
Difference maker in knockout football when he gets his pay. I think he's going to be like huge. I don't think, like, we know the quality. It is just going to take time, and not everybody's gonna have a great game. And if this was a poor game for him, then 6.5 as a poor game is no. See, when I say number 10, though, I'm looking at players who played in number 10, if you will. Okay, you're going more like number 10s. Like, I never looked at Barnes. Am I like too old and can't remember the games? But I always saw him as like, creator, but more like a winger, as opposed to, when I look at like all 10s, I'm talking like, hold on, we're gonna dig into the archives. John is gonna have to Google.
I was about to say Wesley Schneider.
Schneider might not be bad. He's like a bit more like Platini, for example, when he used to play. Let me think more. I mean, Pirlo when he was younger and stuff like that. Like, those are the players I'm more thinking about, where they were kind of like the point guard, like an attacking point guard. They were on the other side. Like, you look to see where they were at, gave him the ball, and then they fucking made things happen, kind of a thing. You make excuses for players for sure. What is an okay game?
I would say my 6.5 is an okay.
6.5 is an okay. I would probably give it a 6. You being the nicer guy, gave 6.5. I would have probably given a 6 personally. But if your worst game is 6, I'll take that as well. I think here's another thing. Maybe it was not the game for him. Maradona is a good one, for example. Yes, I mean, that's for. Yes, I think that's the thing, right? It's like when it's like that was the old school way. Like, you were a winger, and then you were like, I am not as fast anymore, and then you just came to the middle. It's kind of like what players do now. They're attacking mids. They're like, I'm not going to keep tracking back. Why don't I start in the back? And then they become center midfielders, defensive midfielders, and stuff like that. like when they looked at me and they were like, "You are not fast at all. Why don't you play sweeper? Because you are not going to make it as a back or anything like that." So, yeah, Maradona was something, man. You are obviously too young to have seen Maradona in live action,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
obviously.
sorry,
I'm a '90s baby, so
So who's your '90s baby that you watched? So now that it's not Snyder.
it's well, I've seen a lot
That's
of
the first
Wesley
thing you
Snipes.
came up with. Like
No, because I've
growing
seen
up,
him a
you were
lot.
like, man, this guy.
Well, I saw him a lot during the Inter treble year, so
Yeah.
he was insane then, man.
Snyder
Like,
leaves a bad taste in the mouth because he went to Galatasaray afterwards, to be fair.
I
So
well,
there's all that.
well, there you go.
So yeah, it kind of like, to me,
Mario,
it doesn't exist.
my football sort of like heritage, I guess, comes from more late 2000s to early, obviously late 2000s onwards. Another name that came to me, like obviously Kaka, I guess.
Oh yes.
Mario Götze, when he played for Dortmund, was something.
There was a lot of Maria Götze. I remember when we got Klopp, everybody thought like Götze was in his like suitcase or something. Like we were getting him
right, like
it never happened.
a 10 like that off of a Gegenpress. Like I don't know. For me, it was a vibe back then. It's just it's a shame. Like by Ozil as well. Back in the day. Unfortunately, his position just got extinct. But he was
and then he tried to do it in Turkey. Even in Turkey, it doesn't. He thought he was like him scaling back was like, let me go to Turkey or something. And then even there, you can't just not run anymore. It's like Zidane is a good example too. Gascoigne, man. I actually like growing up, like watching as that dude is so crazy. And like like read his book, like watched a couple of documentaries on him, and like some of the stuff he did just
I almost forgot.
Just a nuts, dude.
I almost forgot. Probably my favorite non-Liverpool Premier League player, David Silva. I would say, like I think he's more of a 10-8 hybrid, especially towards the end of his career.
Yes.
But I mostly saw him as a 10, especially during the early Man City years with Mancini. I mean, I loved him, man. Like I feel like
that's like David Silva was like kind of like almost like I take that as like those guys are like the evolution where had like he works as well as passes kind of a deal,
which is why I loved him, man, because like he's not that lazy 10. Like he can create, but he also fights. You know what I mean?
That's when he started. But then that like that Barcelona team with the tiki taka, like Iniesta and Xavi and stuff like that. That was like an obnoxious team. Not the most fun to watch. Sometimes you could admire it for a little bit, then they would put you to sleep because they would literally pass you to death and stuff like that. But okay, let's get to this Isak thing before we leave over here. So Isak's statement. Let's start with that first. He does say when promises are broken and trust is lost, then the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now. We broke up, is what he's saying.
It's a shame that Gordo isn't here.
So what do you make of that statement first, and then we'll go to the Newcastle response?
He's gone. I don't even know what the hell Newcastle is doing at this point. I feel like, and I think it was during our Wednesday show as well, or was it the Monday podcast, where I feel like this is just a saving face tactic where you can just go like, and drag it out till the end, but then you're still going to sell him just to save face. You're going to like, we did everything we could, but unfortunately we have to sell him. I feel like this is just to save face. Because what they're asking for, I think, is 130, right? Or has it increased? To my knowledge,
they're not even asking for anything. I mean, basically, they're saying he's not for sale. I think that's the issue. Like, they turned down our first bid, and now they're not saying this is what we want. They're basically saying he's not for sale because Liverpool is waiting to see the green light so we can come in with a 121.
Just imagine this though: you're a business owner and you have an asset that is not functioning, that can be sold for that kind of money, just waiting in the wings there, not creating value for you at all. That's awful. You know what I mean? It's just there on the sideline, not even making you money, not contributing to the cause in any good way. That is not sustainable. And my only thinking for this is all just ego. This is all just saving face, and they're gonna sell him to us eventually. And I mean, exactly. And I was about to say, it's a shame that Gordo isn't like live with us right now with the girlfriend analogy that you put in.
Yes, I know, right? This will go great with a good college girlfriend analogy. Right. Tony says last year the window. I think so. This is basically a lot of work was put in. Look, we said like a month or so ago, like before this whole saga started. Oh, Isak is not saying anything, is what it was. I mean, the understanding now is whichever story you believe. So Newcastle's story is they never made any promises, and that's that. Really, that's that. And then Isak suddenly said, "I don't want to play anymore." And then Isak is the bad guy. He's the one betraying the team, the club, his teammates, and all that kind of stuff. Isak's story makes it almost sound like Isak already told him, "Hey, I do want to go somewhere else." And looking at what they tried to do early in the transfer window, I find Isak's story, maybe because we want to as Liverpool fans, I'm not sure. So it'd be interesting to get like a neutral take on it, I guess. But I find Isak's story a lot more believable in terms of he said, "Hey, I want to go. So let's make that happen." They're like, "Okay, we'll make it happen. We'll sign a couple of people. Let's get out your replacements first. Then we'll work on your deal." Well, they go after people and they can't get anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's like, "Okay, so what's happening here? Because you guys are not getting anybody. I still want to go." And that's when I think Isak started to talk. That to me is a bit more believable than the other way around. But it could also be where Isak is like, "You guys couldn't sign anybody. This team is not going anywhere now. I thought we were going to improve, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm out of here." So which one do you think of all these different stories out there, which one do you find the most believable? Like, which one are you leaning towards?
Yeah, the first one. It's just an unfortunate situation where for Newcastle it's out of their hands, because you at the end of the day, like, where a player wants to go, if he doesn't choose you, you can do nothing about that. Like, you can give him the most perfect pitch, the most perfect plan, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're going to do this." You can have Eddie Howe go to his house and talk him down 24 hours for 24 hours. You know what I mean? So to explain to
Do a
that,
podathon in his living room. Yeah.
right, do
Okay.
a whole ass podathon in his living room, like buy him the drinks, buy him the concessions, all that, pay for an all expenses paid trip to so and so and so and so. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't choose to go in, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna do anything, and it sets you back. And they've gone through players. Like, I feel like they've already gone through their plan Bs. Wasn't it? Was it? Who was the dude that United got? Sesko. They were going
Yeah.
in for Sesko, right? And I
They're
think
going for
Sesko,
everybody, dude. They went for Ekitike. They went for Seshko.
right, I was about to say, so Sesko was the plan B to
Yeah.
the plan A, which was Ekitike. So they're
Well,
already
they went for
yeah.
Embuemo. Before that, I think Cunha was being talked about.
Oh
So
my
they
God,
have
so-
gone through. You can make a starting 11 out of the people like they went after and could
Right,
not get.
but Mathieu
Yeah.
said it here. They're plan H at this point. So at that point, like, could you even blame Newcastle management anymore? Because, like, hey, we have the goods, we have the money, we offered them the contracts. They're, at the end of the day, like, it's up to the player. They didn't.
Yeah, but aren't you making it worse? You already couldn't bring people in with money. And
Yeah.
since I said that, let's bring this in.
Yeah.
Simaktan says, latest offer from Newcastle. I'll take your word for this as the incoming news over here, and I'll publish it.
For the sake of
But
conversation, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, because I mean, here's another person that, here's the deal
40
now,
million.
though.
Yeah.
All the teams they're going after knows they have to get somebody in. So
Yeah.
obviously they're going to keep putting in, like, increasing their price. So, like, why not? Because that's they know they have to get somebody. But I think the issue is they've gone after people and haven't gotten them with money, like you were saying. How are you going to bring people in when you have like a drama like this was an existing one? I think it's making you look even worse than, like, resolving it and say, "You know what, we're a bigger club, we move on. Who wants to be in this bigger club?" And then, like, just go sign somebody. But the problem is they can't take the money. We keep talking about, like, making this their Coutinho deal, right? Like, sell a guy who wants out, get your 130, 140, 150, whatever the hell it might be. Take that money and go get 2-3 players that's going to make your team better. But they can't get those people in.
Yeah, I think Matoush nails it on there, about the management point. Listen, at some point, like, I get it, like, it sucks, but then at the same time, like, your plan A didn't work out, your plan B didn't work out, your plan C didn't work out, your plan D didn't work out. So I get what he's trying to say, where at some point you got to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe you're the problem. Yeah, I get that aspect of it.
And
But
I don't
then-
know, like, what it
yeah.
is. I mean, they're in the Champions League now. I mean, we always talk about this, dude. They lost players to United, a team that finished 15th or whatever, is not even in Europe. So there is a certain thing to your, like, history and stuff like that still being an appeal. And Newcastle, despite the recent success, does not have that appeal clearly, because people literally picked United over this, which on, at least on the pitch, it's a lot better scenario being in Newcastle, but people turned it down, and there has to be a bunch of other reasons. So whatever is happening behind the scenes is definitely not helping Newcastle. So Newcastle's statement is, which, like, when you look at the statements, I take this as it's more of a win for Isak's statement than theirs, because there always says, well, we didn't promise anything, as explained to Isak and to his camp, which I find it weird that the word his camp is used in an official statement. But we must always take into consideration best interest of the club, the team, and our supporters in all decisions. And we have been clear that the conditions of a sale this summer have not transpired. But they're saying he's not available for sale, so how can it transpire?
I just feel like this is just a lot of smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, they're still gonna, because like 130. Again, what I'm saying is, like, you've got an asset there that isn't giving you any value, that you're paying hundreds of thousands of pounds a week to do nothing. That's not good at, like, for any stretch. You can be the Champions League, you could be the league champions for all I care. But if you have a player like that who you can get immediately 130 million for, and you're just refusing to sell it out of pride, like, I don't know, it doesn't look good. I guess, and I think Ryan was the one who mentioned this with the Isak thing. In your head, Tim, is there like sort of a no rush? We'll get him eventually because of how good Ekitike has been playing.
Like, see, the problem with that is,
like,
and I love how Ekitike is playing, mind
yeah.
you. And Ekitike has shown me in 2 games how much better he's at interplay than your boy Nunez. But
you mean Gordo's boy?
Gordo's boy, yeah, Gordo's favorites. Yeah. The only issue that I worry about is if you wait, because I agree with, I think it was like Ron saying it, so I can't remember who was saying in the comments that this will happen. I mean, it was Tony. Like, it will happen probably like a last day, the day before the last day and stuff. Definitely after this game, right? They're not going to do it before the game. So it's going to happen next week at the earliest. And I do expect it to be like towards the end of the week, where it is actually like right before the deadline. My issue is if it doesn't happen and these people try to play hardball and say, oh yeah, kind of a thing at Isak just for spite, because like you said, doesn't make any business sense, but just for spite is what they would do. These people can afford the spite, so let's go with that. But the issue then is you don't have depth up top. Like, you do not have that. You look at the starting 11 this week, looks great. You look at that bench, and I know Chiesa came in and scored a goal and stuff like that, but your options to turn a game around off the bench is Chiesa and a 16-year-old right now. He's going to be 17 next week, but still, that's not a good way to go. Like, you need more, unless we sign another attacker, like Galli's Fofana or somebody who can play multiple positions and be a threat. I worry about waiting till Isak in the last minute. The Isak doesn't happen. Now you enter the season with basically 3 solid attackers, with the Chiesa a big question mark. I know he had a huge moment. You would hope that this is a turning point, but there's no guarantee to that. That's my concern. If you sign somebody else, I think I'm not worried about having Ekitike have as the your center forward. I don't think that's like, oh no, that's what I was going to ask you, like, where are you with Isak? I'm okay with, I think we can't do that right now and say we're walking away from this thing for Isak. But at the same time, I think it's too late in the game. I'm kind of like worried about, I was not as big on this deal spending 130 140 on Isak, but what a huge impact he would be if it's a healthy Isak, but not for like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, like, for all the the praise we got for Ekitike, he's great. He's 22. He's got a high ceiling, and like, the link up play is just, we've been spoiled with that link up play. I haven't seen a link up play like that from a center forward since Bobby. Like, the flicks that he does in the midfield, and I think his assist for Gakpo's second goal, with the composure to just roll that ball onto Gakpo and not panic, like, it's something we've missed since Firmino. But then at the same time, you're bringing in the best player in that position. You have a chance of bringing in the best player in that position, removing him from a potential competitor, Newcastle, and while strengthening your own front line. It's a no-brainer. Like, if you have a chance, we're not even considering the depth factor here. Just like
Yeah.
even if we were stacked, like even if we did have appropriate depth for left wing, for right wing, for center forward, so on and so forth, we have an opportunity to bring in Isak, the best at his position right now, in my opinion. You have to
True.
go for it. You have to go for it.
Regardless of the price, you're okay with 150.
Yes. If we have the
Okay.
money, yes. Like,
Is the chat okay with the 150? 150
if
for Isak. Are you like signing the dotted line?
my
right
whole
away?
thing is, man, if FSG feels like it's financially viable, then we should too. You know what I mean? Because like,
Oh, you gave the it's not our money thing.
no,
It's
I'm not
our
saying
money
that.
thing, but
I'm not saying it's not our. I'm not going with the
there
whole.
we
It's
go.
not.
Not my money.
It's. I'm not saying like it's the not my money thing. I'm just saying like these guys rarely spend. Where if they feel like a valuation like that is workable, I trust them because they're a bit more skint than owners like United's, let's say, who feel like any 100 million player is worth the price. You know what I mean? I'm a bit more confident in their judgment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, see, when I say 150, everybody's like, I don't know about that.
Best in his position, though, like I don't know. Like it's between him and Haaland, I know, but I feel like in terms of the link-up play, Isak offers more. What you haven't been saying that you haven't been saying anything. What do you think?
What do you mean?
Like 150, like
150 is a lot, man. I don't know. That would make me nervous. I'm nervous.
you take him away. You take him away from being pursued by a United.
Oh, I don't care about that. You can't play that game. You can't play that game. I mean, that's like, then go buy every player. Everybody's like, oh, they went there.
No, I'm not saying you buy every player. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to buy every player, but then you have a straight line drive for this player. Because you can buy any player, but do you have a straight line drive towards these players? No. But with Isak, you do. You know what I mean? So
true. I mean, like MM makes a good point. It's all relative, right? Like, like 150, holy cow, but then what this guy is 80. We're like, oh, okay, then kind of. Yeah. I mean, if you look at that, I mean, is Jackson really 80 though? Come on. No way. Really? But yeah, I mean, the prices have gone out of whack. I mean, you just spent a ridiculous amount on Ekitike, relatively unknown young kids. I mean, look at how much money like Sheshko went for, Gyökeres and stuff like that. John says couldn't care less that he's the best in this position. This could have downstream impact on future transfer windows, which I think is a good point as well. But let's face it, if we do this, don't expect a whole lot next year. And what are you going to get anyway? And like barring like an injury where we find an area we need, or we sell somebody and we have to replace them or something like that, I think you will be set. And I think that's where I'm at more. 150 makes me nervous, but for 130 or so, I'd be like, you know what? I know it's not our money. What's it, 20 million? Just throw it away. But I think that goes back to what John is saying. Like that's where the 150 versus 130, 120 like makes a difference. But yeah, if you can get Isak, I think you do go get him. And then, you still have like Elliott that you probably move. Yes, I'm sure they will, because people have short-term memories. They'll probably complain. I don't know. It's like another thing. I think like MM was talking about it, that, they're never being able to force a player to stay. They're not going to be able to force him to play, right? And do you even want a guy like that?
Yeah.
The only thing that gets to me is that the same, for our fans, I would say, a lot of our fans saying like, oh, like he doesn't want, like doesn't matter if he signed the contract and stuff like that. Because when we posted something about Diaz and how his wages were low, and he was right to see if there's another better deal for him, and we did find a deal that's better for everybody, let's face it, right? Everybody was like, you should get a better agent then. You shouldn't have signed the contract then and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's at the time. Now everybody is like, well, he signed a contract, but things have changed and stuff like that. So you can't play both games. We are looking at this through tinted glasses. Do you have any problem with how Isak is going about it? Like when he comes over, when he goes out, I mean, he's going to wear the jersey. He's going to be easy to root for in that sense. But how much of we always brag about how we have good boys, you know what I mean? Like you look at this team, likable guys, right? Like guys that you wouldn't mind marrying your daughter kind of guys, So how would you view him as a person having gone through this stuff?
So we talked about this a few weeks ago as well, where I refuse to be in the Liverpool fan bandwagon who are just talking down to Newcastle fans like, oh, your player's leaving and we're taking him. And I mentioned this because that was us 10 years ago. And it was an awful feeling. I made a short the other day talking about my Liverpool origin story. about how Torres was my guy. The first player that genuinely broke my heart. So Torres going to Chelsea, that was an awful feeling. So I don't like, I don't like the precedent. I don't like the road that we're taking with this whole Isak situation as fans talking down to Newcastle because that was us 10 years ago. Like I get it. Like we rose into the hierarchy and everything. Like we're the apex predator now, if that makes sense in the Premier League. But at the same time, like I don't want to stoop down to that level where you just make where you just you know I get it. It's the reality, and the reality doesn't care about my emotions. But I still have control about how I interact with these fans. So I won't do it because I know how it feels. To answer your question about like the whole, am I worried about how if Isak would act like that for our club? Yes, it's worrying. But then at the same time, I trust that our front office right now with Edwards and Hughes won't be put in a situation like Newcastle is right now, where they can't get anyone. Like
Yeah.
with them right now, we went for Florian Wirtz, and we were his first choice. Arguably the best 10 in the world, and we were his first choice. It's not just. I feel like they've managed to find a way to like build us up with our appeal, with our history, and combining that with the current project that Slot has. Like those guys are good. So even if Isak tries to kick up a fuss, we get the money that we want for him and we spend it the right way. I'm not worried. if that
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't see him like causing a problem when he's here. I think it's more about like how we would view a player coming in like this. I know everybody goes back to the Van Dijk argument. Here's the thing. I felt it wasn't as ugly, but that could be more on Southampton than Van Dijk. Like maybe if Southampton made it ugly, similar to what Newcastle is doing, that would have gone ugly as well. We don't know. And the second thing, I think Gally made that point on Discord, and I think it's a valid one that, during the Van Dijk era, if this like social media battle was a bigger deal, maybe they would have, Southampton would make a bigger stink out of it as well. Let's face it, they did make an initial stink and say, hey, are you guys talking to our guy? I mean, we're like, no, we're just like walking by.
Yeah,
and then we left
just
and we
happened
came
to
back
be
for him
there.
afterwards.
Well,
Yeah, because we were afraid. Yeah, because we were like trying to tap him up. And, and when Southampton was like, what are you guys talking about back there? We're like, nothing. And then we left and then we came back for him. And I think MM was saying it like in the comments, yes, we waited for our guy, which is fine. And I think, if something happens and Isak stays, I think you wait till January. You wait for your guy. You don't just go spend. That's what I like about what Edwards does. This doesn't happen for 130, then I guess we'll get this guy for like 80 or something like that. That's not really how they work. Unless they really want a player, they're not going to spend big money on him. So I do like that. But I think he was saying it earlier that, there is a part of the fan base that does that, and I don't appreciate it. The difference between Newcastle and Liverpool is when it's very easy to sell a project now, right? I know everybody is like, oh, Slot was on the phone and stuff like that, but shit, I could be on the phone and be like, dude, you're coming to Liverpool. We just won the title. We brought these guys. Come on in. I'm sure it's not as simple as that, but once he talks to me, I'm sure he would love to come over. But you know what I mean? It's a lot easier project to sell right now. When we were not good, we were still able to lure players in because of your history, because you are Liverpool, because you're one of the greatest clubs of all time, right? Look at United, as shitty as they are. They can still lure players in. They can bring people in over freaking Newcastle. So I get the Newcastle frustration and I get the Newcastle fan frustration. What I don't get is Newcastle fans coming in the comments and talking shit about, he's not going to go there. He's our guy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't think we would ever do that part of it where a guy clearly says he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And we're like, he's ours. Did we do that with Suarez? Here's another thing. It's hard to compare eras because social media, you didn't hear everybody who threw up online their thoughts. So, but did we do that in Suarez? Am I remembering this wrong?
I
mean, he's ours.
With Suarez, like the fact that he wanted to leave that season earlier and go to Arsenal for that, that 40 million and one thing. And Gerrard just talked him out of it. My whole thing is I was already resigned to him leaving at some point. I felt like when he committed to like his final year with us, I felt like it would either have been that year to be his last or the year after. I felt like it was just a matter of time. So I never thought of Suarez as like, oh, he's going to stay and become a Liverpool like all-timer. No, I never did. Because the fact that he made that move to Arsenal after his second season, I was like, yeah, he's probably going to be gone soon. Especially where we weren't I think his second season was 2012-13, where we didn't really do anything of note. So it's a project that wasn't going anywhere at that point. So you know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
wasn't
but then
really.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean though. Like even then, you could lure other players. You could say, you know what, that's fine. We'll take the money.
To be fair, we didn't.
Dude. We'll take the money and we'll go get other players
To
and
be
stuff.
fair, man, we didn't lure who we wanted to lure when Suarez left. Remember, I think we were on for Sanchez, and then Rogers and whoever
Yes.
was in charge absolutely
You
fumbled
could get
that deal.
people
Yeah.
across the line. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, Newcastle has not been able to get anybody across the line except like Ramsey they did last week. Rogers,
Yeah.
but Ramsey, right? So I mean, aside from
like
that, they went. Like I say, you can literally. I saw a graphic where you can make a starting 11 out of the people they went for, high-profile players they went for, and they could not sign, and like over like since January, basically since the January window, but most of them are in the summer. So clubs fell out. Yes, that's one of the reasons yes, Klopp wanted Nunez, and I think that was I mean it was one of the reasons, but it was more about I think Klopp wanted more power in the say, and Edwards is more of like a he wanted, and we kind of, I mean, let's face it, the recruitments that we bragged about was more thanks to Edwards and Ward and stuff like that at the time, and you kind of see it now too. They're a lot more ruthless in terms of like what they do. Julian Ward bought him, but it was the club's choice over. And I think that's when the power started to shift the club in terms of transfers. And that's when we had people stay probably past their expiration dates and stuff like that. I mean, we made a lot of sales this summer where they would be.
I'm sorry,
like
Gordo's comment. Like,
yeah, I mean, we made it. You're not supposed to look at comments. Turn the comments.
I'm sorry,
off so you don't
it's
see
just
the comments. But I think we saw that like he would hang on to a lot of the players we sold this summer. I think would not be sold if Klopp was in charge. He valued more like like consistency, kind of like longevity, and being the underdog. He would not go about like signing the names and like bringing more people under rotation, whereas Slot looks more, and maybe he is the choice because he's done this at everywhere he goes, like plays the season with his guys, then turns over half the squad and stuff like that, so maybe suits Edwards a lot more. So maybe, I mean, we do say, hey, we might not do anything next year, but I would not be shocked if like the system sells more players and brings more players in, as long as they're successful.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't say we maxed it out, but I feel like we saw the the advantages and the limitations of the Klopp model, where he values the emotional side of things. We know how good it could be, but we also know how bad it could be. Like the point that you made, where we keep guys too long at times. And a new perspective came in. Slot. We'll see how it goes, but great start so far. And I personally felt called out by Matush's tweet. I mean, the comment there, by the way, about being an emotional purchaser and seller, because I feel like I'm that kind of purchaser, especially with stuff from eBay.
Oh, you think you're bad? You should have listened to Mark yesterday. Mark was not sell
anyone. Shout out to Jorg Schmedke though. I feel like that's Jorg Schmedke.
Oh,
yeah, because I know people like get on Klopp for the poor purchases, but him and Klopp did come in and revamp our midfield with three world-class players in Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. Brought in Endo as well to be the new James Milner. So I feel like that, for all the criticism we give him for getting Nunez, towards the end of his Liverpool tenure, he did kind of right the ship by bringing in those four guys. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Brentford 160. This is just like, but here's the problem now. Like they know there's nobody left. Like Newcastle is out there thirsty, and this is the only stand that has some like water over there. How much? $100? Like, I mean, what is it worth to you? Because at this point, one, they know they're gonna get 120, 130, 140 for their guy. So we know you have money. And then two, we know you need somebody. So, and there's not a lot of names out there. So that's, yeah, I mean, if we says worth 60, then Isak is definitely worth 150. And that's the problem. But here's the thing, like, I think Visa is worth 60 due to the circumstances. I don't think he is worth 60. I mean, go to the transfer market right now.
Yeah.
I think they're probably, all the strikers in transfer market right now is probably like 40. if Newcastle wants them, 60, kind of like a clause next to it, because that's the situation they throw them. I don't like to shake Klopp get some. He had also some wins. Yeah, I mean, every manager is going to get some wins and losses. I think the only criticism that, I've had personally of Klopp over the seasons is like he's hung on to people a bit too long and maybe is a bit too loyal. And that's not like a huge negative. Obviously, he's had success with it. And let's face it, if City wasn't cheating in the background, he would have won a bunch of titles with that thing. So everybody has their own way of going about it. But I think in terms of finances, it has to... it can't be good for the long run, where we saw a lot of people are like walking away for free and stuff like that because of that. I don't think Edwards will let that happen as much, including the scenario. I mean, let's not forget the scenario we had last year, and that was more about his timing and anything else. Dude, we were up to like 30 a minute ago. It got really good. So I really appreciate everybody in the chat today. Do hit the thumbs up. We'll wrap it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning with Adriana, actually. So we'll go take if she got over Diaz yet. We'll ask her that. I'll go straight to the question and ask her that. But percentage, give me the percentage that you think Isak deal happens.
I said 90. I remember you asked this. I said 90%. I'd say 95 now.
Really? Okay.
Dude, it's just from a business standpoint, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to frame myself as a pretentious entrepreneur or anything, but if I have something there, let's say I bought a PS5, right? And that PS5, I don't use it at all. Like, it's just there. It's collecting dust, right? So if I'm not going to use it, why don't I sell it? You know what I mean? And get my money back. At the very least.
PS5 is a good example, because when PS6 comes out or a couple of years down the road, that's where it's only losing value.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's I mean, I don't know. I thought the PS5 was a poor example. You just gassed me up there and said it's a good example, because no one is overpaying for a PS5 nowadays. Let's say by the way, I'm ashamed to say that I overpaid for my PS5. I bought into the hype during the COVID years, and I paid $200 over SRP.
Oh, my buddy hooked me up. I had it like before a lot of other people did.
Well, I don't have a buddy that hooks me up, man.
Targets, like he was my assistant manager and he hooked me up. So
I don't have a buddy that hooks me up, man. Some people aren't.
Make friends, man. Make friends. Speaking of, what happened to Gordo in Texas, dude? Like, the Texas heat is getting to this guy. Gordo you were never this negative, man. Like, I don't know what happened to you.
You know what it is?
Get in the shade.
You know what it is. You just don't want to admit it. You know what it is. Why do you think he took a break from the Wednesday show? I am fighting for my life, trying to not see things in glass half empty perspective, right? And I'm a regular on this Wednesday show. I'm still clinging on to my childlike naivety, and I'm turning 30 next year. I'm fighting for
really?
Sorry?
Are you turning 30?
I'm turning 30 next year, yes.
Really? I thought you were still like early to mid 20s.
Yeah.
Man, we've seen you grown like over the last few years, big time. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. He's over here stolen bagels and bad coffee. Speaking of coffee, this is gone. So I gotta go fill this guy up. We will wrap it up for today. Thanks a lot for everybody for watching. Hit that thumbs up. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. And as I always say, go grab a friend by the ear, drag their butt over here, and have them give us a follow as well. Have an awesome day, everybody, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Take care.